Mic check, mic check. Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh and in this video we shall discuss current affairs and gazette for today 12th of May 2022. Let's begin the current affairs session for today. But before that, the quote of the day. Today's quote is, failure is not the opposite of success, it is the part of success. Who knows this better than people who are preparing for UPSC exam? The number of attempts that UPSC offers is for the same reason that we improve on the mistakes every time we commit them, and finally there would be a time when we would not be committing these mistakes, which let us keep below the threshold. So we have to ensure that the failures have to be perceived as a part of success, and that's how we proceed ahead in our lives. All right, so let's begin this session. What do we have in today's session? First, rising bond yields, a part of Gazette as well. FCRA recommendations, foreign contribution regulations, and what is the update about it? Wet bulb temperature, an update on this. Charak oath, an update. Social Media Act, the lines of Digital Services Act of Europe, we will understand this. Prayers at ASI monuments, an update. And tribal development, it's a great case study from Mumbai. Let's start this discussion. Good evening to all the participants here. Let's do this. The first is bond yield. If you've heard of this term bond yield, we'll clear this concept today itself. So bond yield is said to have risen in the country amidst all the crises. Just yesterday, we discussed a crisis that is related to balance of payment and the exchange rate. Now, bond yield is also rising. These are economic concepts and they have been regularly asked in UPSC examination, pre-examination. So we should understand what is the concept of bond yields. We will understand what is the reason for bond yield rise and how the government and RBI are trying to regulate this process. All right. So let's understand. The government, ideally, there is a phase in which government needs finances. It needs borrowings. So what does government put in the market? With the help of RBI, which is government's manager, financial manager, government puts the bonds in the market. So these are instruments to apply for loans. And these bonds are sold in the market, and there are stakeholders, PSUs, private stakeholders, they purchase these bonds and in turn they give rupee to RBI. And these are GSECs, government securities, government bonds. And then this rupee which is given back, it is later utilized by government for its own spending. Now, when the bond has been given to the government, it has been put with the private stakeholder or the PSU, will they be getting certain interest rate on the bonds? Yes, they will be getting certain interest. Suppose this bond was for rupees 1 crore, suppose, and the bond would yield some sort of interest. So interest would be about 6%. So at the end of the tenure, the government is supposed to pay 6% along with returning the principal amount. And that's when the bond will be returned back to the government. That is how it should be. So bond yield is the effective percentage of interest which is given on the bond when the maturity of the bond happens. Maturity of the bond, if this is a long-term bond, the maturity could be 10 years, 15 years. So that's how bond yield works. Now, if the bond yield increases, it is being said these days that the bond yield has increased to 7.5% and it is supposed to even go higher. If the bond yield increases, the government will have to pay more interest rate in the long term, and this is what government does not like. It does not want to pay more interest rate. But why is the bond yield rising? First of all, this is an interesting question. See, all this is related to the other economic concepts. One simple example is the inflation happening in the economy. Inflation happening. Now, because inflation is happening, the prices of all the commodities are rising, and government and RBI are also trying to curtail the spread of money in the market. So they are in a contractionary mode. And when everybody is in a contractionary mode, people are not in the zone of spending, because when people keep spending money and it does not lead to interest rates, it does not lead to giving them returns or having an investment cycle. See, when inflation is high, then will there be more profit for the companies? No, they could be lesser profits for the companies. If profit is less, then the complete investment cycle, the disposable income or reinvestment income will be low. The companies will be earning less during the times of inflation. Similar times when RBI is in the contractionary phase, it wants the money to be put inside the banks, inside the RBI and the banks, and they give more interest rate. Why would anybody be investing in government securities? So if the government security earlier was being, say, suppose sold at rupees 1 crore, this is a fluctuating price. It is a dynamic price. The price of this government bond might go down to 90 lakh rupees, not 1 crore. It might go down. And but you know what? The interesting part is the bond yield is fixed. Bond yield is still 6%. 6% on what was the original amount. Now, in case the amount has gone below in the mid run, this can be traded again and again. The bond can be traded. It can go to 90 lakhs, 80 lakhs, and it can also jump to 1.2 crores. It can do that. But in case the amount of the bond changes to 1.2 crores and the new purchaser gets this amount, at the end of the maturity, that is called as yield to maturity, the interest 6% will be given only at 1 crore rupees, not at 1.2 crore rupees. So person who is owning this bond towards the end period, if in case, then they will not get a good percentage of return, right? But in this case, they might receive some profits because the bond price only has risen, right? I hope you understand what I'm saying. Now, since the bond price has risen here, that means the person is getting profit in exchange of bond rather than the bond yield. So this is good in the short run, right? The increase in price of the bonds. But right now, nobody is wanting to purchase bonds. Why? Because everybody is putting back the money in the reserve banks or in the banks of the country, right? Because of inflation times, right? Times of inflation, it is good to put money in the banks. So this is how people are doing it, and nobody is ready to purchase government bonds. If the government bonds are not getting purchased, if they're not getting purchased right now, that means the prices will go down of these bonds and the bond will automatically turn high, because now the 6% which was been given here on 1 crore, this could come to maybe 7.5% on 90 lakhs. It would become eventually this, because 6% was being paid eventually on 1 crore. Now the amount will also rise. So bond yield will rise, but the profit of the person who is investing at this time will not rise, right? So people are not ready to put in money. But ironically, when RBI is contracting the economy, the government also wants to spend more. And to be able to spend more, we know government needs more finances. It needs more bonds to be put in the market. Now, if it puts more bonds in the market and wants to increase the spending, will it not increase inflation? Yes, it will increase inflation. It will increase inflation. This is where RBI is in a catch, but it is the government's manager. It is the financial manager of the government. And therefore, RBI says what we will do is that we will conduct something called as Operation Twist. They have conducted it previously as well, according to which they will be selling short-term bonds and they will be buying long-term securities. RBI will be buying the long-term securities and it will be selling the short-term bonds. When they do this, the amount of money remains almost constant in the market, but the prices, the bond yield of the long-term bonds will eventually decrease. It will go down. So this will be beneficial. Government will not have to pay more interest rate. This is the sole concept. That is all is bond yield. So bond yield is the effective interest that is paid on any bond, right? And effectively, if the government bonds are not being purchased, then other bonds are also not being purchased. This is not a good sign for the economy. But then still government needs finances. That's the issue. Okay. Moving ahead to the next one, FCRA. If there are questions, please put it down in the comment section. I will ensure to get back and clear them all. FCRA regulations, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. This act was initiated in the year of emergency times, in the years 1970s. I think it was 1976 when this act was initiated. There were demands to initiate this act even before, but then this was the final time when we initiated this act. The idea was to ensure that the law sought to regulate foreign investments in the country, in the NGOs. So foreign donations to individuals and associations, and it wanted to ensure that the organizations in India, if they've got some funds, they work in accordance to what was the mandate of the organization. Suppose the organization was social, or economical, environmental in nature or cultural, and they are indulging in political activities, they are indulging in activities which are detrimental to the safety of the nation, this will not be accepted. So these terms were clearly mentioned in the law. But then it was also known during due course of time, it was also alleged that government is misutilizing this kind of provision of FCRA to control and curb presence of those NGOs which are against government's works, which are pro criticism of the government. So government has been accused of targeting NGOs on the basis of political or ideological grounds and cancelling and not renewing their licenses. So let's understand what is the process of licenses in the country. Now, for formation of an NGO, you need to register yourself for a Societies Registration Act or companies. There are different ways in which one can register an NGO. But in case you want foreign contributions, then you need to register yourself with FCRA, Foreign Contribution Regulations Act. And this registration is once done is valid for 5 years. 5 years. Government does go through a due process of scrutiny. The organization also needs to declare what is the field in which it is going to work. Suppose the organization says that it is working in the field of cultural, economic, educational, religious, social programs. These are the ways in which an organization can work in India, NGO, and it can receive funds. They can work in NGO is political also, but political NGOs will not be allowed to be funded in the country. That is all. It has been declared very clearly. There are certain more regulations. For example, the civil servants, judges, people working in political arena, they will not be funded. And so the primary requisite for one to declare is what kind of organization are they, so that if there is any diversion of funds, then they will be acted against, and accordingly there could be some issues with the licensing of the organization as well. So once the organization gets the license for 5 years, they got to renew it within 6 months of the last 6 months of the period of expiry of license. Even if they don't register, again re-register, there's some more time, and after that they should register. Interestingly, around 40,000 of these NGOs existed, these kind of NGOs which received foreign funds in the year 2011. But after 2011, the number of NGOs that we have in the country which are receiving foreign funds and are under FCRA ambit are only 16,000. What happened to the rest of them? Rest of these NGOs, they were either barred by the government, and it is not a political association. It is not one particular party banning it. It is all the parties which have come. It was back in the year 2011-12 when it came to light by the intelligence agencies in the government that the protest at Kudankulam is happening in the aegis of environment by international NGOs. International NGOs are funding these kind of projects in India so that power cannot be generated with the help of nuclear energy. Imagine this. So when all this came to light, then the government, back that time was the UPA government, they said we will have to do something about it. So that time Greenpeace is one organization which received some due notice by the government. And Ford Foundation, another foundation, Ford, the same Ford Carwala Foundation. So these people also, every funding that they receive from abroad, it is scrutinized before it is made available to the NGO. Similarly, Amnesty office band ho gaya inka. Amnesty's office has been closed in the country. So government has ensured, and not just one government, all the governments previously, they felt that these NGOs, many NGOs are acting against the interest of a country. So for that reason, these kind of curbings have been imposed. But the latest in the news is this, that some government officials have also colluded with these private agencies, NGOs, and illegally they were granting some kind of license to the organization. So a couple of crores of rupees found here and there in the investigation and Hawala transactions. That was the update. But then this is the background. Now, whenever an organization registers itself as an NGO which wants to receive foreign funds, there are few conditions. For example, they will, and these are part of the amendments also. For example, they cannot be opening bank account anywhere in the country. They have to open a bank account in a designated branch of SBI in Delhi, so that one knows where the funds are getting routed. Then they will have to expend a certain minimum amount to their activities. They cannot designate all the funds for administrative expenses. What are administrative expenses? Pen khareed liya. Can you purchase pen for 5-6 lakh when you are doing a business of 1 crore in the country? No, but these things have happened before. So only specific amount, I think that was 50% at max, can be designated for administrative expenses like salary, like stationery, like renovating the project from inside. Actually, these funds would be diverted for other activities. You understand that very well. So first you register yourself under the act, open a bank account at a specific place, and you have to utilize the money for only a specific purpose. If you have not been doing any activity in the last 2 years, then any activity but still you are receiving funds, you are liable to get cancelled also. So these are certain of the requirements. One more requirement is there, that all these organizations, NGOs, have to file annual returns. How much came in, how much went abroad. So this is important. They cannot fund another NGO, they cannot fund a political party, they cannot fund other people, and they cannot transfer any fund here and there. The people who are owning these organizations in the country, they cannot be charged on accounts of spreading violence or disharmony in the country. They cannot be charged on the grounds, if they are charged on the grounds of sedition, etc., then they would be not be able to receive these kind of foreign contributions in the country. All right. Now, sedition, a very important hot topic. Today we will cover this feature news, yesterday's feature news. We will have 2 feature news today, one by one in one video. The first one will be on sedition and the second one will be on India-France relationship. I sure to cover it quickly and with all the provisions covered and discussions intact. All right. So this is the update from here. All right. Now we understand what is the significance of Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. What are its principles on which it works? No enmity and disharmony against the country in a manner consistent with the values of a sovereign democratic republic. It is a part of what I have mentioned right now, is a part of the act itself. Okay. All right. So, काम वैसा नहीं करना है. We can't work against what the mandate of the organization is. We have to follow some norms. Some people are prohibited to create these kind of NGOs, and many NGOs have ceased to work now. There are many reasons for NGOs to cease to work. One is the mandate of NGO is over. Second, the mandate of these FCRA is over, so we are not renewing them licenses. So these are the mandate. The third is also government holding them back. Amnesty, Ford Foundation, Greenpeace, certain NGOs, these are international organizations, no? But then Indian NGOs also receive fund and they have also been barred at several places. Okay. Okay. I'm moving ahead to prayers. Keep putting down your question. I'm watching and I will definitely get back to each of this towards the end of the session. Prayers at Archaeological Survey of India. We covered this, right? But a quick update, more understanding about the Archaeological Survey of India and how it designates what are the places of worship and not. See, Archaeological Survey of India, it is mandated to protect as many as 7,000, as many as 3,700 sites in the country. 3,700 sites, so many of them. And while, see, this organization came into being for the independent country after independence only, no? They were organizations which were working for India previously under British aegis. But now after independence, Archaeological Survey of India took control of many organizations. And there were some of them where the cultural practices were on during those times. There are some of them where the cultural practices were not on during those times when ASI took it over. So suppose an organization, there was a temple near my house. Suppose there was a temple near my house and ASI took it over, and that time one was going to pray, one used to go to pray to that particular temple. So after ASI took it over, should prayer be allowed or not? This is where our ASI very clearly says that yes, if one has been following a cultural practices or praying at certain occasions, it is allowed at that place. But if the place has been declared as not live, if the place has been declared as a non-living monument, that means no prayer, no activity, no cultural activity happening there. When we took it over, then you are not allowed to carry on any activity here. So this is why this monument, the Martan temple in Anantnag in Kashmir, it is in news. While the ASI took it over, there was no cultural activity, no religious activity happening. So ASI says that you didn't take, even the only clause is that you take permission from ASI, carry out an activity here. So you didn't take permission from us, and that is why it is under scanner. Also a high profile visitor visited this place, Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, Union Territory. So that's why news. There are several other examples also. The example of Taj Mahal is a good example from Agra, where the monument is also used. See, one of the sides of the monument is also used as a mosque. So, but then there's another caveat here. One cannot be utilizing this monument to increase the cultural presence or encroachment of the place. So whatever was allowed, whatever was being done during those times, only that activity is allowed. right? Similarly, another example is the Shankaracharya temple in Srinagar. Go ahead, this is an ASI monument, but then you can always go and worship, because this monument was always being used for worship purposes. All right, so this is the mandate of such organizations. Moving ahead to the next one, effect of humidity. All right, we had covered this, but then quick understanding here. See, we are talking of the wet bulb temperature. See, when there is a dry bulb temperature being taken, dry bulb temperature means the temperature being taken from the thermometer, and the bulb of the thermometer is dry, it is in the normal air. So one can tolerate a lot of heat, say up to 45 degrees Celsius one can tolerate. But then if we want to measure the humidity effect is one of the serious challenges which is possibly going to affect the Indian subcontinent. So when you make the whole bulb of the thermometer wet, that means there is 100% humidity in this, and then you want to check according to the hot temperatures around what is the rise in this thermometer's calculation. So the calculations say that for wet bulb temperatures, 35 degree is the survivability limit. Beyond this, and in fact, if this is sustained, 35 degree with wet bulb temperature, it is extremely tough for humans to survive. And this has happened sometimes in the subcontinent as well. Sindh in Pakistan has faced this kind of issue. But the best part is that we will face a thing like this, and possibly lesser temperature also. Wet bulb temperature has become relevant these days, absolutely. But this might not be sustained in the country, because we are a tropical country in the subcontinent. Humidity will be high, temperature will also be high. So this is the only thing that I wanted to explain, that sustained exposure might not happen in the subcontinent, but exposure definitely will happen. I've explained this concept previously. In case one is not feeling comfortable during hot weather, there is a natural mechanism in the body to regulate the temperature. How do we do it? By sweating. But sweating also does not happen if the relative humidity in the atmosphere is high, and that's when we start feeling discomfort. The discomfort level of heat and humidity added is extreme. That's what is measured with the help of wet bulb temperature. That's the update. Social Media Act was to be covered yesterday, but then covering it today. This relates to the new act the government is going to propose. This act is going to replace the IT Act, Information Technology Act 2000, and the main idea has been to create an act on the lines of Digital Services Act of Europe. New act, not initiated, but only proposed by European Commission. And the idea has been to create an act on the lines of, as I mentioned, Digital Services Act. So what will it contain? It will contain norms for protecting the privacy of the individuals. It will contain norms through which accountability for the social media companies and intermediaries will also be maintained. So law and order will work on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and all these organizations, right? So this is another mandate. Now, right now, you would be surprised to know that there is a safe harbor rule in the present act. There is a safe harbor rule, or section 79 in the IT Act, and it actually protects the social media companies. If an XYZ person has posted something on the chats or on the social media profiles, the company is not liable. They are in complete safe harbor. The company is not liable for any action. But now, when Europe has placed the companies as accountable, right? So this is where India says we will also, form a line and forge a law on these lines. So the point has been to ensure that companies, if social intermediary company does not know about such acts, then they will not be held accountable. The individual who has done the crime or that act will be held accountable. But if the company is aware, of such an happening, because it is digital, everything is under the scanner, it has keywords, words which are searched online and every time. So once you type the word, for example, once you type the word bomb or attack or rebellion, something like this, all these are keywords, they automatically will be traced, and an algorithm, through the help of an algorithm, a generated software, the complete chat will be scrutinized to understand if your intentions are right or wrong, right? This is how it works these days. So the social media company will have to delete these kind of comments or bring to light to the government in case such kind of activities are happening. And right now, the European Act, Digital Services Act, also says that if the company has more than 45 million subscribers, then the company will be under more scrutiny and liability to provide protection to individuals, to ensure that everything is carried out smoothly. So India also might have something like this. See, India has one of the highest In fact, it has the highest number of Facebook users in the whole world. Right? We use WhatsApp, we use Facebook, we are the ones who use Instagram. The population is high. China doesn't care because China has a different tradition at all altogether, right? Now, this is the case study of today. In fact, it was the case study of yesterday. I'll cover today's one as well. But then right now, this one, see, the idea has always been, not always been, always been, yes, always been to give you the best that is possible, right? The best of current affairs every time. But now we've also evolved to understand that it must be given in a limited period of time, because you people are sustained, you people are there. So if we provide it in the crisp manner, in the best possible manner, in the shortest frame of time, that will also save your time to do what's important, right? And it will be sustainable. So we will do that. We will cover the other important ones as well. Slowing steadily, today's case studies on tribal development. This is from a place in Mumbai that is called as Ari Colony. There was a time I used to live here. This is just inside this is around the film city, Goregaon region of Mumbai. And a lady, Cassandra Nazareth, she's done some very wonderful job here along with local people. So this place, Ari Colony, is supposed to be the only natural urban forest in the whole world. Only natural urban forest in the whole world. See, forests do exist. Miyawaki forests are forests in the urban world, no? But then they are not natural. They are created, but these are natural forests. They have existed ever since. So preserving these forests is important, especially when it is amidst the city life. And Mumbai has planned to build a lot of infrastructure projects below the ground and above the ground in Ari forest area. So she says that we would like to prefer reviving the traditional art, traditional lifestyle here. And Worli tribals, see, there's a Worli art here, right on the left side. So Worli tribals are the people who live here. What she wants to do is make aware everybody of the Worli art and increase the economy of the people of Worli tribe. So tribal lunch is what she organizes here. Tribal lunch. Through tribal lunch, she pokes people to go and visit this area, the Ari Colony area. Through tribal tadka, these people, tribal people, they start to sell what is the food product that they have, delicacies, food products, or handicrafts, organic produce. They would sell to the localites. Through project roots, people would be made aware, children would be made aware of the roots, the real roots of the local people is this. They would be made aware of this. In fact, she also has gone ahead for crowdsourcing of funds, and through that she has been able to purchase sewing machines for people, for purchase smokeless stuffs for people, so that there could be welfare for the people. Bio toilets also have been formed. So this is how one can help rejuvenate the traditional economy and the traditional lifestyle of people, rather than looking only for the economic side of development. All right. Now, doing some justice to today's thumbnail, the image that you saw on the first page, these are some of the photos which won 4 Indians the Pulitzer Prize this year. And a couple of them have also received this prize more than once. Danish Siddiqui have received it twice. Another gentleman has received it the 3rd time. Danish Siddiqui passed away. But then these were the kind of images capturing of COVID. Some very stark images here. The way the COVID has been captured, the COVID distress, and even before the movement of the Hong Kong protests and the movement of the Myanmar refugees to Bangladesh, etc., they were also captured, and they won Pulitzer Prize for these people. 4 Indians have won this time. This is an American award and given in 21 different fields. A gold medal is given in case of public services kind of photography. All right, so this is the Pulitzer Prize, and this is where we come to the conclusion of current affairs discussion. If you like this initiative, share some love through likes, comments, and shares, and let me quickly look into the questions and comments. Okay. Amnan says, if there is no need of collateral in case of bank rate, then why commercial banks are not asking loan in this rate instead of repo rate? I'll get back to you on this. Hi Kanupriya. Or it is the RBI who decides whether loan to be given in repo rate or bank rate. We'll explain this to you. Good evening, Ashish. Good evening, Tiasha. Kim, good evening. Can we use this topic in internal security? Yes, FCRA topic is for internal security only. Internal security, economy as well. Economy of the country, development project. social issues also, you can use it there as well. All right, so the topics can be covered at various realms. वही है, दिमाग चलना चाहिए वहाँ पे. You should have these topics revised in your mind. Oldest fortified settlement of Odisha. Okay, great. Would any action be taken against the Lieutenant Governor? This is a serious political issue. I don't know about it, but then of course it has created an issue because ASI is an autonomous organization, right? They are not governed by anybody. They are an autonomous organization. They receive funds from the government. They are instituted. The chief is instituted by the government of India. That is absolutely there. But they have their own mandate away from the ministries and the government. Okay. Okay. So these are the questions I have received. And Amlan, I'll get back to you about the bank rate and repo rate question. We'll have a look and then get back. Meanwhile, let's switch to the other video that is on a very interesting topic on feature news for today. We have got two feature news for today. One is on the very, very popular case of sedition, which is also called as Deshdrohi in Hindi, the section 124A of IPC. We will understand all the sides of it, and after that we will also have another feature news quickly to be covered, that is on India-France relationship. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Please switch on to the other current affairs, the feature news discussion. Thank you for participating.